My first interview was with Mufti Menk. And Mufti Menk, I sent over 100 emails, there was no response. Over 100 emails,
Emails.
yeah, there was no
What
response.
keeps
And
you
like so,
going?
I just thought that one day he would say it. Yeah, because I used to understand that well, people are very busy then, and I was like, okay, if we keep pushing, someday it might get a little bit better.
Oh.
And voila, well, I heard that he was coming to Nigeria, and he was going to give a lecture in Kaduna. And then I said, I'm going to go to Kaduna. And they said, who do you know? I said, nobody. I said, I just want to interview him. So I called somebody who knows somebody that know another person that know the actual person that brought him.
That's a
And
long
then,
rope.
exactly. And I said, see, I want to interview Mufti. And they said, have you interviewed him first? I said, have you ever done an interview? I said, no. And they were like, the person caught the call on me. That was the first person. And then I got another guy again, and I spoke to him. I said, I want to interview Mufti. He said, okay, don't worry. Meet this guy. His name is ABC, and in the front of the name, they put cool guy. And they say, call him. Until today, his name is still cool guy on
On your
my
phone.
phone. So I called him. He was like, okay, just come to Kaduna. Whatever happens, happens. Went to Kaduna, had the opportunity to interview Mufti. The first day, I missed the interview. Why? Because when we were about to on the car refused to on. We were at the stadium, Murtala Square, I think.
Yeah.
And when the car refused to on, and then everybody was waiting at the interview place, and then Mufti Menk had a phone call. They called me and they said, Mufti Menk is waiting. The next phone call I got was Mufti Menk's voice saying that we've waited till Christmas, brother. We've not seen you. And you're not going to come. And then I began to cry. And I was like, I've lost this
The
opportunity.
opportunity.
But one thing I did was that when I went to the hotel, I said to Allah, I say, Allah, if this is going to be beneficial to the people, if this is going to help so many people become the better version of themselves, make me lead this path. Now, I was about to leave the Kaduna city the next day as soon as possible. And I was like, oh, let me just listen to the lecture of Mufti. He's a popular figure. I've never seen him. I've only seen him online and everything. I went to listen to the lecture. Immediately after the lecture, they gave me a phone call. And they say, Shuraim, where are you? I was like, oh, yeah, I'm the hall. I'm about to go back to Abuja. They say, Mufti Menk wants the interview. Amazingly, I'm glad that you brought in the Dadunko part of my life. Going down memory lanes, sitting in the beautiful parlor of my mother, who was a single mother, taking care of 7 kids.
Oh my
I
God.
was the second to the last born, and I had a sister who never got to see my father. So my mom made it a compelling necessity for me to go to Islamia. So I go to do Islamia in the Allo school. I go there, I study, I come back home. The next day I don't want to go. There's a big box in my room. I go and hide inside. No one knows I'm inside. And then I come back, around the time that the Islamia closed. The day my mom got to find out that I don't go to Islamia, she flogged the daylight out
Out
of
of
me.
you.
And after that, I used to love seeing scholars. So when I go to the room, there was a fan that was not working. So the fan was like a microphone.
For
So I
you.
now use the fan like a microphone, and then I take my blanket and put on my body as al kebba, and I was talking until this day that I was able to go to a place called Fiber in a place called Nesco. It's a massive, amazing mosque in Jos. And I saw this Sheikh Khalid, and the Sheikh was speaking English in a nice way. And I just kept looking at him, and I was wearing a white cloth every day. And after he finished giving his talk, I went to meet him. I said, Sheikh, I love the way you speak. My mom didn't say I should greet him, but I said, my mom said I should greet you. I
Oh my
told
God,
him
that's a
that.
tactic.
Yeah, I told him that. My mom said I should greet you, and he was like so excited. After that, moved back, went to finish secondary school, came to Abuja, and then I went to ABU Zaria. I went to ABU Zaria. I didn't like the course I was given, left it because I had questions about religion. I went to Al Hikmah University. In Al Hikmah University, I began to study Islamic theology. 2016 to 2017, I was about to finish university, but I didn't want to be a scholar. I didn't want to also be a teacher in a school. Now, people might say, why don't you want to be a scholar? That was not what I wanted to do.
At the
At that
time.
point, I was watching the likes of them, Oprah, David Letterman, Steve Harvey, and the likes of it. And I was like, see, these people do TV shows. If they can do it, Oprah is black. If she can do it, I can do it. And I believe so much in that. And I told my friends that, see, I want to begin to interview people. And my
Prominent
friends asked
people.
me, what kind of people? I said, the likes of Mufti Ismail Meng,
Menk.
Umar Suleiman, and all this. And all of them were like, bro, it's impossible. Bilal Phillips on your show, Mufti on your show, it's impossible. But one thing I always remember that my mom usually tell me is that whatever you put your mind to always works. And subhanAllah, when she makes those statements, is as a child, you don't have too much, you're not as smart and everything, but you have so much knowledge in terms of, the desire that what your mom has said would be the right thing, because she was the only one in your life who genuinely loved you at that particular time. So I took everything she said religiously. It was like an inscription. So when she said that whatever you do, as long as you focus, you're determined, it will work out. And that was how the TV show started.
So you studied Islamic studies, and then you said you do not want to become what people thought you should become. But you've evolved into a media entrepreneur and international peace advocate in the same vein, considering your role during the Nigeria thing. And in what ways did you merge faith with modern power of storytelling? Because a lot of people see you as storyteller.
Yeah, so for me, basically, when I, went to study Islamic studies, I had no prior or deeper knowledge about Islam. My reason for studying Islamic studies was to be able to answer the whys in my life. Why am I asked to pray? Why am I asked to do A, B, C, and D? Why am I asked to fast? Why am I asked to do Hajj and the likes of it? That was the reason why I studied Islamic studies. Now, after studying, I felt people needed to know some of these things to begin to understand Islam from an easy perspective. Why? Because when you go to the masjid, there a lot of lectures are going on, but deep issues that is affecting the fabric of the ummah, of the Muslim, is not being discussed. And even sometimes when the discussion goes on, you find out it's one side, okay, the ladies don't get this, the ladies complain that this scholar is saying this, and this person complain that this scholar is saying and everything. So I now come up with a studio called Did You Know, because I wanted people to know, and that's why I called it Did You Know. And they became the Did You Know studios, and we began to give these stories and the likes of it. I felt that it was very impactful from the perspective I am coming from, but where I got some of my knowledge from was online. I see what these people in abroad do, and I replicate it. I see how they tell their stories, and I replicate it. And I see how they do everything properly. At the point, and I realize that, okay, fine, this will not be done except there is more money for me to be able to, put into the business. For me, it wasn't even a business at that particular time. It was just something I loved to do.
It was your passion.
It was my passion. I had no idea how to make money out of it. I had no idea what to do. I had a few people who came, let's want to invest in your company, blah, 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 and I rejected at that particular time. And I was like, no, I don't want to do this alone. Now, what now happened was we got an Uber. And the first car I bought was an Uber. And then the money that comes out from the Uber, we put it in the studio, funding the studio. And that's how it grew from the studio from my bed down to a very small cubicle, down to another one that we have at the moment. And that's how it began to grow. And I think, the desire for people to learn, the desire for people to understand that everything is possible if you have a proper and deeper understanding is very important. Yeah. And for me, I think that so many people look at religion from a certain point of view. Why? Because the person who gives the information about religion needs to understand the psychology and ways of the people that he is delivering that message to. Because if you want to give someone something, you have to bake it in a nice way. If you love your burger with nice tomatoes, you want pickles inside, that's how you love it. So sometimes you need to package the conversation for people for them to be able to understand. Especially now that we live in a generation where so many people are exposed to so many information. If you're going to speak, you have to speak with fact, with diplomacy, with calmness, and with straightforwardness. So I felt that we didn't have that in northern Nigeria. And what did we do? One of the first conference I held was an issue on pornography. Realized that porn was a big issue among my peers at that particular time. And I was like, why everybody saying that, if you watch porn, A, B, C, and D? And what did I do? For lack of a better word, I organized a porn conference in order to kick away the bad attitude, right? Now, what did I do? It was labeled. Yeah. And what did we do? Big. So I put that statement first, and the scholar, who was Wa'il Ibrahim then, he said that change it to dealing with bad attitude, turn in bracket. And so Wa'il Ibrahim was from Australia, and he is a pornologist. He understands the ways and how. Yeah, is actually a word. People that help people out of that addiction, because it's a total process. It doesn't have to do with your iman. It's a total process that it has to do with your brain, and we need to also cater for it as best as possible. So we met Wa'il Ibrahim. Wa'il Ibrahim came all the way to Nigeria. We held it in Bayes University. It was amazing. And from there, so I said, okay, I'm going to deal with key issues. I'm not going to do any conference till now, until the next conference, which I had, which was a Summit Africa, because I only do things when there is the necessity to do them, not because, you need to do it every year. And that's why we said the Summit is going to be 3 years. The first equipment I got in my studio was gifted to me by a non-Muslim, a non-Arewa person. And it was amazing, right? Until today, I still reach out to that person, talk to him, appreciate what he has done.